You are looking at what I believe will be the final USFanTV of 2018.
I think that is a sound assumption.
Because I don't think we're going to do a show next week.
I won't be here.
Chris will be gone. TJ, nobody cares about. He's got the minivan dad soccer pod to worry about now. And I'm not doing it by myself when there's nothing to talk about. So this is it. This is your chance to ask us questions for the next 22 and a half minutes or so. We're going to talk about the roster that dropped today. I don't know how deep we're going to get into it, but I mean, seriously, it's a Camp Cupcake roster. Who cares? But we're going to talk about it. There's some interesting things to note within the crap. The U.S. on U.S. goal action that we saw in the Bundesliga this week was pretty exciting. Jose Mourinho and how that affects our boy Christian Pulisic perhaps going to Man Utd. I don't think that's going to happen. It sure seems like the Chelsea deal is all but done, but maybe I'm wrong. The MLS playoffs have a new format. Looks to be a better format in most ways. And we're going to make fun of Mike Piazza. So,
which is nothing new to me anyway.
We're going to do that. If you haven't seen the story in The Athletic, you need to read the story in The Athletic. It's amazing. It's like, how do you think you can buy a team in Italy and then 2 years later it's non-existent? That's what happened to Mike Piazza. So I guess first we should probably begin with the roster. There's a roster.
Fair place to start.
Which is, I hear, TJ, are you holding babies again? Okay, at least it wasn't a squeaky toy. It's an actual human being. Yeah, I don't remember getting rosters this soon.
I was surprised that it came out this early. I mean, I really figured we would talk about kind of our predictions.
Yeah,
for the roster probably like tonight, maybe even in 2 weeks. Yeah, to see it drop so early when there's still at least a month. When I don't remember. I honestly don't even know what the date of the first match is yet.
It's the end of January, I think.
I know it's somewhere around there, 26th, 28th, something, I think. But yeah, we're at least a month away, and to already see a roster and then to see that they're reporting in 2 weeks, that's interesting. I was surprised to see that it's only MLS guys. I mean, it's always basically only.
Why
MLS
are you surprised
guys.
by that? Who are you expecting to see that wasn't?
Not necessarily anyone, but I don't know. Usually there's a couple guys either from Liga MX or maybe fringe guys from a European team, or some of the guys out of like the Norwegian leagues or something. It's one of the leagues that does take a winter break, and who aren't necessarily first. Like already kind of first choice guys. Like you're not going to see most of the guys in Germany because we already know they're making the team. So in that regard, it was surprising. I was surprised to see Bradley on the list.
And apparently it's not just Bradley, but Josie, even though he's not named, will be there.
I did hear there's
so it seems
one
like
more player yet to be named.
That means these guys are both in the cards going forward, whether you like that or not. And I think it's fine for now. I think it's fine to have some veterans there, because especially at something like this, because it's like it's a bunch of new people. So
I mean, there are a bunch of guys who are all like 20 years old, basically.
I still think both of those guys have a place within the bigger team, if you want to call it that. Whether they're going to be in the 11 come World Cup qualifying, I don't know.
I would kind of hope not. But
maybe Josie will be, though, with unless Sargent and Tim Weah can handle the load. But yeah, I'm fine with them there. I'm not all worked up about it like some people would be, and I'm honestly at the point where I'm done being worked up about anything with this team. Let's just see what happens now. Let's just put our faith in Greg and see what happens and be positive for a little bit before we can start being negative again. That's kind of where I am with this. It's like it.
Okay, then you have to quit Twitter immediately. You cannot stand Twitter if you're going to be actually positive and happy about something.
Yeah, I mean,
I was surprised. I mean, I was surprised that Sean Johnson got in over Bill Hamid or Brad Guzan or even Jesse Gonzalez.
That's a good point. Any of those
I
guys.
mean,
That is a good point.
I would have
There might
thought,
be maybe there's something we don't know. You know,
I
there's
mean, it could be that Guzan, we certainly know what you have there. Maybe it's a bit of helping. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get it. I've had a cold for a few days, so apologies. Maybe it's some of building Sean's case for something. Maybe it's a bit of giving Hamid, I don't know, a rest because he was jumping kind of across seas over the last year.
Well, what about
Who knows?
like? And I can't speak as much about Bill Hamid per se, but in the case of Brad Guzan, won't they be already getting set for CONCACAF Champions League, which I know
possibly, yeah.
I don't think that
That's
necessarily.
fair.
I don't think that necessarily.
Especially come February, yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily a deal breaker for anybody. But if you already know what you got, you don't need to see them. Why bring them in when you have that coming up?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
True.
I was interested that we see some veterans, we didn't see other ones like Dax. McCarty's not there anymore. I don't know what you would do with him, but it was interesting to see which veterans Greg wanted to take and saw a role for. But yeah, I don't even think I watched the games last January, February. Maybe I did. It was the Chattanooga one. Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah.
We made choo-choo jokes or whatever, but yeah, it's nothing I ever put too much stock in. I think it's cool for certain guys, like as a Fire fan, like TJ and I are. Georgi Mihalovic getting a call up is pretty cool to see. Will he ever play for the full national team in a competitive tournament? I don't know, but I think it's cool that he's getting his chance to go to this. So that's what this is good for. It's an off-season camp for promising MLS players, basically.
Yeah. That is what it always is. But
in my looking at the roster, just kind of as I go through this, other than Aaron Long, and then a couple of the guys from Toronto, so it's proof that Berhalter hates Toronto FC because those guys actually have the CONCACAF Champions League, and Aaron Long's the only other one I think that's actually in. That would be in the CONCACAF Champions League. The rest of this roster isn't, except then you've got, like I said, you've got Bradley and Marky Delgado from Toronto. So yeah, I guess Berhalter hates Toronto. So there's that.
Christian just brought up the name Darlington Nagbe. Is he in this roster at all?
He is not. He is not.
Have we forgotten about him? And maybe that's because Atlanta is going to be involved. But have we forgotten about Darlington Nagbe?
Like a little bit. He kind of fits into that window of he's still young enough that he could play in the next World Cup, but he's going to be kind of, like as we've talked about for the last, I don't know, year and a half now, whatever, almost a year and a half. There's that window of guys who it's kind of like Josie, where they're that 26 to 28. Actually, no, they'll be 28, I guess, to 30 really by the next World Cup. That I'm not counting them out. Certainly, we would not be alone, and this would not be the first time by any means that we've taken guys over 28 to a World Cup. And it's not like you have an expiry date when you hit 28 or something, but or even 30. But when we have all these young, promising up-and-comers, do we want to rely on those guys who didn't do it the first time?
You need both, though. What if a guy's hurt? Or you don't want to exclude people altogether from the program.
Yeah.
You want people to come in and get their feet wet under Berhalter and have people who are available and can help if half of our guys playing in Germany can't come over for a certain game or something that we need them to. So, and I expect in the Gold Cup, I don't know if he's going to do it like last time where it was, scrubs who came in and then we brought in the heavy hitters later. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but there's going to be a lot of different players who play in that, I would think at least. So, yeah, I think you want people involved in the program and connected to the program and feeling like they're still a part of things. And then you can whittle it down from there when we get closer to qualifying. And if somebody gets hurt, then you can, next man up and call somebody in. So,
I guess my point is just, Nagby's 28, Josie's 29. Yeah, they're probably good for another year or two. Are they so phenomenal that, there was a reason we had, say, Dempsey and should have had Donovan on a roster as late as they did in their careers.
They're still that good.
Not those guys, they're not those two.
No,
like those two were simply better. And if we are holding spots for guys, say 30 plus, to me they have to be stars. And while Nagby is a top player, I don't know if you call him a star on our national team. Josie's a star, but he's not I don't know. To me, he's not a Dempsey star.
Between Sandra and anonymity, half of the chat is in German right now.
Jawohl. The other thing that actually stood out to me, they're all meeting in Chula Vista. So they're going to be playing or training in San Diego, presumably because their effectively real home will probably be a Chargers playoff location.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So we've swapped, say, our stadium for I don't care. I'm not going to respect the Chargers, even if they could win. They could win the Super Bowl. I still wouldn't respect the Chargers.
We don't need any more. We went into Phillip Rivers.
Crappy division, and I hate Phillip Rivers, as everyone knows.
Well, wait, that's because Phillip Rivers sabotaged you in fantasy, right, Chris?
Like 5 years ago.
Many years ago.
Like 5. Oh, that's why Chris still holds a grudge.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he due to have like his 80th kid this coming up?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Jedediah. Haji Wright scored a goal, assisted by Weston McKennie.
Assist by Weston McKennie. Yeah, that was cool to see.
Paul Carr, formerly of ESPN, said it's, as far as he can tell, the only time two U.S. internationals have combined for a goal in the Bundesliga.
And did they win?
I don't even remember.
No, they lost 2-1.
Did they? They were the one, though. They were the one. So that was good to see. At least it was Haji's first, right?
Yeah.
And they were playing they were the two strikers in a 4-4-2, as I understand it. I only saw the goal. I didn't actually see the game, but that was surprising to me that they're pretty decimated if they've got Weston playing as forward. But good for him. He's get in the team however you can, right?
Yeah, at a time when a lot of Americans are kind of struggling for playing time again,
including Boy Wonder.
Yeah. Get them in. Get them in one way or the other, as far as we're concerned.
And we had to laugh because Jose Mourinho was finally fired again this week.
Again.
Somebody, it's what happens, right? Somebody, and I wish I'd written it down, but somebody had the great question on Twitter. It might have been Christian. Does this make Man United a more desirable place for Christian Pulisic to go? I mean, almost inevitably, yeah. We'll see who they bring in, but
that said, supposedly Atletico Madrid.
Oh, it's Solskjaer, right?
Tried to sign him and approached Dortmund with the interest of signing him, and we're told that there's a deal already in place. We just can't announce it.
Yeah, which is Chelsea.
Yeah.
So that's okay. We'll see. I have a bad feeling, and I don't want to have a bad feeling. I want him to prove me way wrong, and I want him to be Eden Hazard. I got a feeling it'll be like Shinji Kagawa, and maybe he goes back to Dortmund after a few years, something along those lines. But I mean, Dembele is a different story. But look at how Dembele played at Dortmund, and now he's going to be leaving Barcelona soon, I would think.
So did U.S. Soccer make their selection of Berhalter too quickly, or should they have held out for Jose? I really wanted to ask that question so I could get Chris. I wanted to see Chris melt out on that one.
I don't like I know there's this whole thing where you hate a guy, and Chris legitimately hates certain sports figures. Like, he's not joking. He hates them. He hates
True.
actors. He hates other things. I don't really hate much of anybody. I hate Isaiah Thomas, and I hate Jose Mourinho. Like, I reserve the hate for people who are seriously characters that, and I don't mean the new Isaiah Thomas. I mean the Pistons old Isaiah Thomas, just to be clear on that. I don't know much about the new Isaiah Thomas, but yeah, I reserve the hate. Chris spreads the hate around. Sometimes the hate ends up like the person dies. It's happened. Kirby Puckett, Timmy from that soap opera, the midget. It's happened with other people too. It almost happened with Joey Lawrence. We thought it was going to happen with Joey Lawrence for a while. Like with Chris, it's widespread hate. With me, not so much, but I do reserve that for Jose Mourinho. He just seems like a terrible human being.
Yeah.
And I can't even, like, Paul Pogba seems like kind of an asshole too. So I don't know who to side with in that, but I kind of side with Pogba because I know Jose seems like he just seems that bad. And yet for some reason,
like, there are two things. Like, I'll always probably side with the guy who's against Mourinho, but also I tend to side with, like, I accept that star athletes are dicks. And if your personality is that you're an asshole, but you are a superstar, I kind of go, yeah, well, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mourinho does some things well. I guess I can.
He wins Champions Leagues in lots of different places.
It has helped him along the way to win titles.
Yeah.
That said, his teams are boring, and I can't stand watching them. And to me, it's more of like, well, we can be worse than you. And we're so dedicated to being worse than you that we'll beat you. And it's such a negative way of playing.
How much more fun is Chelsea to watch under the last two coaches? It's
Chelsea. I still can't stand Chelsea.
Doesn't mean you have to like them, but they're not. They play now at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's.
Hey, LA Galaxy are looking for a new coach, and Grant Wall put the two together.
Back with Zlatan. He gets along with Zlatan, doesn't he?
I doubt it. Does he get along with anybody?
No, just Zlatan. I don't know.
Well, would it be
staying? That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad for
would
that.
it be beneath Jose to actually grab a folding chair and hit somebody WWE style during a game?
Anything could happen, and then he would. But the thing with Jose is he would claim it wasn't true, and he would blame somebody else for it, and it would be. It's just. Speaking of people we don't like, we got to touch on this real quick. If you haven't read the Mike Piazza piece by Robert Andrew Powell in The Athletic, oh my God, is it amazing? It's like I meant to drop the whole thing into a word counter to see how long it is. It's got to be like 8,000 or 10,000 words. It feels like it, but it's like it's a mini novel basically about Mike Piazza. And like, I was kind of like, yeah, I vaguely remember him buying a lower division Italian side.
To our viewers who are not aware, Piazza was the catcher for the Mets for a number of years.
And the Dodgers.
I always felt like a grade A douchebag.
I mean, I can tell you that having
a few other teams, but
having covered sports, baseball players are the biggest dicks of all the sports by far. And he seemed like he seemed like one that sort of rose beyond that. But he bought a lower division Italian team, and 2 years later, it's been dissolved and is being picked apart by creditors. And he put his playmate wife in charge of it for a while because things got so bad, and there's Italian work rules that he faced when he came in. He had to pay people even if he fired them for life probably, and there was a corrupt referee perhaps, and just his constant. It's an amazing story.
The thing I don't understand, like when I started to read the part about how when he fired all these people, he found out he had to keep paying them. Why didn't you stop firing them, or just bring them back? Like it seems to me you just stop the bleeding there. Even if they don't agree with you, maybe you find a way to you bribe them effectively to agree with you or something. But I don't know. You don't fire them and get nothing. But then again,
R says Mike Piazza passed away in his sleep last night, and I actually have to check because trust me, it happens with Chris all the time. But yeah, it's just you got to go read the story.
I don't know if I ever wished death upon Mike Piazza. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened because I did not like him back in the day. I will say I never liked him and his stupid mustache. But I don't know if I ever said anything like that about him. I said a lot of bad things about him. I definitely hated on him, but I don't know if I ever voiced, say, a hope of death for him or something. I don't know that I ever went that mean on him.
Just imagine buying 100-year-old institution that's, and it's like a local soccer club in Italy and destroying it so quickly. Oh my God. Like bull in a china shop, just blowing up a team. Go read the story. If you don't subscribe to The Athletic, I have no affiliation with The Athletic, but it's a really good thing to subscribe to because you get cool stories like that. It's a great piece. The MLS and MLS, your MLS has a new playoff format, guys, and it's mostly better. It's going to be mostly.
I definitely don't like that more teams are getting in.
That's the only thing I don't like.
I think it's ridiculous that 50% of teams make the playoffs, but now we're going to be at more than that. Come on. I do like that the season will be wrapped up earlier. I don't like that it carries into December. But I don't know. I guess I like the danger of a one-off tournament, because then it becomes sort of like the NCAA tournament, where it's like anything could happen. Like your team has a bad game that night, or the wrong players for your team get injured, and suddenly suddenly your number 1 seed falls to your number 12 seed? No, 14 teams, your number 7 seed. But I don't know how I feel about the fact that there's no reseeding. So if, say, the number 17 beats the 1 team, I assume that means they would stay in the bracket that then could put them over, give them home field advantage over a 4 seed. But maybe I'm just reading that wrong.
Well, you're reading it wrong to start, because the number 1 seed is the only team that gets a bye out of the first round. So it actually does matter. It actually does matter to win now. I think that's one of the upsides is you're the only one that gets a bye if you're the top, if you win your conference, I guess.
That's the good part about it, right? And the great part about it is they sandwich it between the 2 international breaks, and so there's no more dual leg. There's no more double leg things. It's all single elimination. It's going to be a lot of games in a short amount of time, but I think it's going to be it's overall a much better format.
My one question, though, because it is between 2 international breaks, does that mean, say you are a team that has that you think has a fair shot of winning it all, are your players going to be more likely to have injuries in that October
in the first break?
Window,
yeah,
so that they don't run the risk of getting hurt and your team bombs out?
That depends. If you're playing qualifiers, probably not. But if you're playing like the U.S. has for the last year and a half, probably.
Oh, I mean, then anybody who's playing anything is going to be like, yeah, it's going to be like Pulisic for the last most of the last 9 months or whatever.
And how many games into these playoffs do we get before Chris blames one on the referee and absolutely starts swearing up a storm in a game he probably doesn't even care about?
Well, any game can be that with Chris.
I don't like when referees directly influence a game unnecessarily. And
and nobody likes that, but your interpretation of what that is a much broader thing.
So you claim.
So yeah, we're planning on a quick show. Look at that. We're right at about a half hour. Do you guys have any burning questions before we kill this thing for the year and come back in January stronger and better for you?
Well, what I was actually was it Polster was one. I forget who the other one was. Getting a run out with Rangers, and then the other is Tim Weah to Lazio. Was that the one?
That was brought up. Somebody brought that up in the on Twitter. But yeah, that's interesting. He's kind of hoping he'd stay with PSG and latch on. But if he's going to play more there, don't they have? I can't remember which Italian teams are racist and which ones aren't.
It would just about all of them. But Lazio is particularly bad. Christian has a good point that, I don't know that that's a safe place for Tim Weah. Lazio is the one I think where, God, who was it? It was their captain. I should know this. He played for Italy and stuff too. Like gave the fascist salute to the fans after one of the games. This has been a few years ago now because their ultras are known to be like hardcore fascists.
Ooh, Robert.
I don't know if they're softcore fascists, but like
softcore, just the topless fascists. Robert wants to know, Chris, what are your favorite Christmas songs?
10 years ago, but
and I am asking you, Chris, because I understand that you went caroling at one point recently. So
I did. That was more my there was a thing in my neighborhood. My son wanted to do it, so one of my kids wanted to do it, so I went along.
I've never seen that done ever in real life, only in the movies.
I was surprised. I heard it was going to happen. Like we got an email or something, and I heard it was going to happen. I was surprised. Yeah, I've never lived in a neighborhood where that happened. Like people were coming out like shooting video of us and things.
Did you go to people's door, just ring it and start singing? Like they're not. Do they check their phone or something, or do they stand there and actually listen to your?
Came outside and watched. Yeah.
You went to people. I assume you went to people's houses you knew.
No. I was just walking through the neighborhood. It was like people who had lights on or something to send some kids up to ring on the doorbell.
And nobody shot you? Wow.
I didn't know people did that.
There were at least a couple people who walked out with cell phones, like shoot video of it and everything.
So, what is your favorite Christmas song?
God, I don't know. Good King Wenceslas.
There it is.
Boom.
Record it down right now. Mark it down. So I think that does it, guys. I think that does it. I think that puts the lid on a year of USFanTV.
Oh, Sandra said, what is it with Americans liking Messi, I think? Because Messi's amazing.
Everybody likes Messi, Sandra.
Yeah, I don't know how you could not like Messi. Like,
he's really good, and unlike Ronaldo, he hasn't raped anybody yet.
Ooh.
Ronaldo's people are going to be honest pretty soon.
I'm friends with this girl from Argentina, and Argentinians complain about Messi all the time. But I laugh and say to her, like, this is something that only Argentinians can complain about because, like, you have so many players that you're like, oh, Messi doesn't try hard enough for us.
Well, but to be fair, hasn't Messi spent more of his life in Spain than in Argentina at this point?
Yeah.
So
that said, it's not like he's representing Spain.
He's still got, from what I can tell, he's still got the Argentine accent, though. He still does the Kaije and they, the double L in the different way, and he kind of
he doesn't say Barcelona.
No, he kind of does he kind of mumbles, which I think is his own thing.
I think that's more because he's just like shy or something.
Yeah, he's very introverted. It seems like in that way.
Yeah,
that's why all of his social media is photos only. He doesn't ever write things. It's just like managed photos, and sometimes they're like, stuff at home, but it's just photos. He just speaks through photos. Unlike his buddy at U of A. All right, so that does it. This is USFanTV. We have Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and we are 3 subscribers on YouTube short of 1350. In the great purge of YouTube, when they said we were going to lose the bots that are following us, apparently no bots were following us because we stayed the same. So we're not good enough for even the bots to follow us. So the fact that you guys do makes us very, very grateful.
Bot free since 2016.
That's right. That's the way we roll, man. TJ, do you have any final words for the year of the Minivan Dad Soccer Pod, I should say?
Nah, I got nothing.
Chris, what do you
Should we
have?
be worried about Pulisic? I don't think so.
Ooh.
These things happen through everyone's career. I don't think even that the Sancho thing is necessarily a sign that like you can say Sancho's better and Pulisic's not good anymore. Like none of that. I think it's more that they realize they have a commodity there, and they're looking at how they can replace it. In 2 years, there's going to be the next Sancho replacing Sancho, and the same thing's going to happen again.
And if he does still have that leg injury he's been dealing with, playing a little bit less now probably isn't a terrible thing. So, but yeah, I think it's a combination of them wanting to protect somebody that they're going to sell, and at the same time them not wanting to make their team reliant on somebody who's likely going to move here soon. So we'll see, but I think he's gone, and it kind of makes me sad because it's a great place for him still, I think, even now. But we'll see what he can do at Chelsea, or wherever it may be. Am I worried? I don't know. Every time I get worried about that guy, he goes out and has a killer game or something. I'm not worried about him. He'll be fine. All right. Felipe Weihnachten, Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas. That's all you had, right, Chris? Do you have any other final words? I don't mean to step on you like this.
I see Robert asking about Joe Corona and his future with the national team. I think it's a good question. I think he probably has a spot, maybe come the Gold Cup. Do I think he has a long-term role? No. I think he's probably the same player that he was last year, 2 years ago, where he gets called in from time to time. He can play a role, but it's not like he's such a standout that he's going to be there for sure. I think he's one of these guys who may still may still work age-wise, but falls victim to the potential of guys like Josh Sargent. On that note, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
It's been an interesting 2018. And
I'm glad 2018 is over from a soccer standpoint.
Yeah. Let's quite fine with the U.S. Wrapping up 2018, putting this one to bed.
All right. We'll see you next year.
You're done.
Later. You're done.